Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everyone from Algeria to Zimbabwe. And good morning, America. Yes, turn this down a little bit. It's Tuesday, February 14th in the year 2023 year of our Lord Jesus Christ. And guess what? Guess what? Yes, sports fans, the Kansas City Chiefs pulled it off, pulled off what I and many others thought was impossible. That's right. They defeated the Philadelphia Eagles 38 to 35, and they are the National Football League's Super Bowl champions of the 2022-2023 season. Yes, I picked the Eagles. I did. As I told my son, that was a head choice, but my heart was with Kansas City because they have shown themselves to be, well, a more lovable team with Andy Reid. But let's get on. I picked the Eagles to win, but the grittier, more resilient team, the Kansas City Chiefs, prevailed. To be honest, from the beginning, it didn't look good for Kansas City. No, right from the kickoff, they kicked off to the Eagles to start the game, and the Eagles took that kickoff and marched 75 yards down the field on 11 plays and scored a touchdown. Even worse, they took 5 minutes to do it, which means they did it slow and methodical and unemotional, just a matter of fact manner. They ran, they passed, they checked the clocks, and then they ran and they passed some more, and they did it without breaking a sweat. The Eagles were disciplined. They were prepared and not afraid of the moment. Now, as I said, this did not bode well for Kansas City. Something had to be done. So, Patrick Mahomes rose to the challenge. On the Kansas City's first possession, Mahomes drove the Chiefs down the field 75 yards for a touchdown, but they did it in only 6 plays and used up only 3 minutes of the clock. That put their defense right back on the field with little rest after they had been just slapped around by the Philadelphia offense. And on Philadelphia's second possession, they once again, easily marched down the field 69 yards to make it 14 to 17. Now, for those of us who was watching this game, I was thinking Kansas City didn't have a chance based upon what I was seeing. They couldn't stop them. Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia offense was able to do practically whatever they wanted whenever they wanted to. So now it's 14-7. And on Kansas City's second possession, they were stopped at their own 35-yard line and they had to punt the ball. So for Philadelphia with the 14-7 lead, began on the only 25-yard line, and again, we're in the process of moving the ball easily down the field when, without warning, they had a hiccup. On 35, at the 49-yard line, Jalen Hurts, under a certain amount of pressure, rolling out to his right for no reason, without being hit, fumbled the ball. It started going backwards, and Kansas City's Nick Bolton picked it up and ran for a touchdown. Excuse me? Excuse me? Kansas City was Philadelphia was on their way to make it 21-7, and this was going to be early in the second quarter. This was going to be a blowout. When, for no reason at all, Jalen Hurts, as he's rolling out to his right, escaping pressure, loses the ball. It bounces backward, and he's knocked over by a Kansas City defender. And Nick Bolton picks up the ball and runs with it 40 yards for a touchdown. Now, let's ask ourselves, what is going on here? What is going on when the old pigskin squirts out of Jalen Hurts' hands and bounces right into Nick Bolton's hands? Kansas City, good luck, or Philadelphia's bad luck? Well, does this portend toward favoring the Chiefs on this particular day? Maybe, Maybe not, because on the very next possession, the Eagles went 75 plays. Well, I mean, went 75 yards and another 12 plays to make it 21-14. Undaunted, they just went right down the field again as they were doing right before. So remember the defense, okay, was on the field. Let me back this up. Philadelphia went down the field, and they did it for 7 minutes. That's right. When they went down the field for the 21-14 score, it took them. They took 7 minutes off the clock, so they had the Kansas City defense on the field for that 7 minutes, and before that fumble, Kansas City's defense was on the field for 3 minutes and some change. Right? So they ran it back for the touchdown, the defense did, and then came right back on the field and was out there for another 7 minutes. So in that particular time span, the Kansas City's defense was on the field 10 minutes. That's almost a whole quarter. So, as I said, things were not looking good. Not looking good for Kansas City. The Eagles were methodically breaking down Kansas City's defense. There seemed to be nothing Kansas City could do. So, after a Kansas City punt, the Eagles marched down the field to kick a field goal. It was now 24-14. If it wasn't for that lucky play, Kansas City would be down 24-7, or maybe 31-7. But as it stood, they were only down by 10. Still a very daunting task, because only 19 teams have ever come back to win despite not scoring first. And only 4 teams in 56 years have come back from being down 10 points. Well, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Let's look at this guy, Patrick Mahomes. He had a high ankle sprain, and he re-injured it. He was limping when he came out the game in the second quarter, and he was limping when he came out onto the field. Maybe he shouldn't have been out there. Was it Kansas City's good luck or Philadelphia's bad luck? Combination of both. More than that, it was Patrick Mahomes' grit. Patrick Mahomes, we're talking about one of the toughest little gum-chewing, wisecracking son of a guns in the game of football. He shouldn't have been out there. No, shouldn't have been out there. But he came out there after halftime, and he led the Chiefs 75 yards in 12 plays for a touchdown. Better yet, this drive took over 5 minutes, giving the defense even more rest, because we're talking about halftime, the rest at the halftime, and even more rest. 5 minutes more rest, 5 minutes and change more rest to get themselves ready to take on the Eagles. On the Eagles' next possession, they used up 7 minutes on the clock, but they only got a field goal. Kansas City managed to hold them. The Kansas City defense managed to hold them to a field goal, which was a tall task, seeing as what was going on in this game, and made it 27-21. On the Chiefs' next possession, Patrick Mahomes once again drove his team 75 yards down the field for another touchdown. This time, doing so in 9 plays and taking up to 5 minutes again. This made the score 28-27. Kansas City was now in the lead. The Eagles punted on the next possession, and Kadarius Toney returned the ball 65 yards to the Philadelphia 5-yard line. 3 plays later, Kansas City had another touchdown. They now led the game 35-27. Kansas City has scored 3 touchdowns on 3 straight possessions, and they were looking like, well, what happened here? Where did this come from? It wasn't anything that Philadelphia really did. It's more what Kansas City did. So now, we're talking about the Super Bowl here. Time is short. There is no other game. The Eagles are now starting to feel the desperation, and they rose to the challenge also. On their next possession, Jalen Hurts drove the ball 75 yards down the field in 8 possessions for a touchdown. And then, because The score was 35-33. They went for the 2-point conversion and converted. The score is now 35-35 with 5 minutes and change to go. 5 minutes and 15 seconds to be exact. Now, Kansas City, this is it. This is for all the marbles. If they don't score on this drive, there's a high probability that they will lose this game because nothing has shown. There's only been one stop. I think Kansas City only stopped them once and it made them punt, to my memory, if they did that. So there's nothing to show that Kansas City is going to be able to stop the Eagles from taking the ball down for either a touchdown or a field goal if the Eagles get the ball back. That's where we're at. That's where this is at. That's where all of this is at. If the Chiefs don't score on this possession, and if they don't hold on to it long enough to score when they score, Philadelphia's going to get the ball back, and this game is over. OVA. Well, Patrick Mahomes' legacy was on the line. Andy Reid's legacy was on the line. Make no mistake about it. This was their third Super Bowl in 4 years. They lost one, they won one. From here on out, depending on what happened in this game, they would be labeled winners or losers when it came to the big game, the Super Bowl, the big enchilada, the whole kit and caboodle. Which way was it going to go? Kansas City. Kansas City had won their first Super Bowl back in 1970 by, as their head coach at that time, Hank Strand, put it, matriculating the ball down the field. That's right, matriculating the ball down the field. And sometimes the old ways are best. A gimpy, a limping, but game Pat Mahomes trotted out onto the field, I should say gimped out to the field, and began doing just that, matriculating the ball down the field, little by little. No big time plays, no big plays down the middle, no flashy dashy anything, just matriculating the ball down the field, getting first downs, taking up time, even scrambling, if you want to call it that. He scrambled 26 yards on a play in order to get another first down. Well, he kind of limped down the field. He looked like an animal that had been wounded by a pack of lions and was running for his life. But he got it done. He got the ball to the Eagles 17 with that scramble. And that put the Chiefs in field goal possession, but there was still 2 minutes left on the clock. And too much time. The Chiefs needed another first down in order to seal the deal by leaving little to no time left on the clock when they kicked their field goal, if they weren't going to go for a touchdown, and they were not. They didn't want to leave any time on the clock. They got that with a defensive holding call, defensive penalty that was called with 1 minute and 56 seconds left on the clock. Now, for all you Philadelphia fans, let's just get this straight. In truth, they could have called holding on Philadelphia on every passing play. All game. Every replay shown of the Philadelphia secondary guarding or defending against the Kansas City receivers showed them clutching, grabbing, holding without fail every time. And it was never called. So, as Juju Smith-Schuster said about the hold, I thought they would call it someday, which is accurate. They could have called it all game. That's how bad it was. It was so evident. In Philadelphia, I don't know why they didn't, but they finally called it. It was egregious, but yet I thought all of them were. And they never got called for, but they got called on this particular time. And after that penalty, the Chiefs ran the ball down to 8 seconds before they kicked the field goal. Yes, and it was good. And that, my friends, was game. That's game. Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes are winners. They're winners. They're winners in more ways than one. But the winners in the Super Bowl, in the Super Bowl sweepstakes, once again proving that good guys with class usually do win it all. Now, this is a lesson I want you guys to learn. You can have a really bad coach, but if you have a really, really good quarterback who's a good person, like Tom Brady, it's opposite to Bill Belichick, who was a Nick Sirianni, not just as demonstrative, maybe even worse than Nick Sirianni. I think Nick Sirianni treats his players better than Bill Belichick. But you can win. It has to, Jalen Hurts is going to have to overcome Nick Sirianni in order to win. Because Nick Sirianni, though he's a good coach, has no class. And it kind of puts a damper on the Philadelphia ambiance. Okay? They have it. They have it, except for this little anchor over here that's pulling them down. Yes, that's true. Philadelphia lost because Nick Sirianni does not give them what they need in terms of good luck, because his character is lacking in class. Whereas Andy Reid, you can't say enough about Andy Reid and his perseverance in the football game and in life and still showing class. My hat's off to Andy Reid. And Pat Mahomes has endured a lot. A lot of people have not liked him because he's the wonder kid. He makes everything look easy. And when you make everything look easy, a lot of people don't like you. And for some people, well, his being mixed race makes him not black enough. And, well, they don't like that about him either. There's all kinds of things for people to hate, all kinds of people to dislike. It's all kinds of ways you have opportunity to behave badly or show a lack of class. But I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, sports fans everywhere, you will win in life when you develop class and good character. So as Philadelphia goes forward, I wish them all the best. They have a great team. If they would just stop pushing people in the back and just behaving as if they're a bunch of kids playing football instead of professional football players, which is directly attributable to their coach. And as we go forward for the Kansas City Chiefs, hopefully they'll win it a third time, and a fourth time, and a fifth time, and a sixth time, and a seventh time. Kansas City deserves it. The city is very classy. Yes. I went to school in St. Joseph, and I have to say that I can't say enough about Kansas City, their people, or the city. We could all emulate them and their behavior, as all the NFL could emulate the Kansas City Chiefs franchise. Kudos to the Kansas City franchise. All hail the Chiefs. I can't predict the future, but I'd like to see them back there again. With that, do we have I think I have a Chiefs logo to close it out. Oh. With that, we close out and say goodbye, everybody. I'll see you later on today, NBA Tuesday. Bye bye.